right, here we go again. Buckle up. Trying to get a walk on here. Try to loosen up my body a little bit. So I figured out what was going on Sunday mornings to trigger this thing. Right. They're willing it. So you have to understand that it's not by happenstance that it's happening. But I figured it out. I just don't know if I can get it to go into the background enough to get myself over there. I got a little time yet. I went to bed. I was perfect. I woke up. I was perfect. And then I did something and it triggered. I actually woke up better than I've woken up probably in years, almost. Right? Because of the massage that she gave me. And it didn't trigger. So. It's still, I think it's a certain band of muscle that's still triggering it. If I can get it to relax and stretch and all that, it may not actually trigger. But we'll see. All right, so, I'm not telling you who to put in charge of anything. And they're saying some intern guy all of a sudden is, the leader. And I don't know what's going on there. Again, there's probably enough people within DHS working for and around that guy, to keep it well. And then there's probably people outside that can give advice. Inside, I've given some advice. Right. But you have to be careful of something. If you're not careful, the only people that you're going to put in positions are people that Laura Loomer met at a Trump rally, and she likes them. Okay? That's how the government fell before. When I speak about little girl and all the others and big sister and all, that's how they do it. Okay? And they're witches on top of it. So if you're not, and there's one thing you have to understand, there's double agents and spies and other type of people. I can't tell you who they are and where they are because I'm not there. But they're like Big Sister, Little Girl, and all the other nicknames I came up with, and Slickster. Right. They're just part of a criminal entity. So believe me, they may not even know they're part of a criminal entity. Right. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up getting rid of all your experience base. And you're going to trade it for bullshit. They did it in 2000. They did it before 2000. They did it after 2000. When Bush came in there, they all sucked up and, said this person needs to go. That person needs to go. But they've been setting it in motion with spies for years. It's a constant. Because that's what that looks like to me, like somebody that Laura Loomer likes. She met him at a rally, and he's a great guy. I don't require a lot of experience because I believe people could be prodigies, quote unquote. When I went into the government, I was put in responsible places and had a lot of work put on me. And I was a junior guy, but I was already, I had been like 30 or something like that. I was like 30, 31. And I had been to combat. I had been a sapper leader. I had been in the military. I've worked a couple years in corrections and did great work for them. Right. Well, what they'll do is they'll do things to his life to make him look viable while killing out your experience base and making them look untrustable or unviable. Right. Well, it's just, you're not supposed to have somebody like that in that position because, Iran looks and laughs. Right. And I don't know. I don't know what the capability is. I don't know what they're actually doing. Right. I mean, you may put him there and want him to investigate terrorism against Trump people, you may call it, or whatever it is. Again, I'm just trying to tell you not to do it. Right. The only type of terrorism there is people that don't accept MAGA, quote unquote. And again, I'm not Biden, so don't try to put Biden's shit on me. Right. That would be your answer. Well, look what Biden did. Well, you could have actually people placed that are actual spies, whether they realize it or not, and they're working for a foreign power, trying to overturn, turn over or upside down your government. Right. So there's another part of it too, and this is what you're starting to experience. You had people that supported you that had power. You're giving up those people for these people that Laura Loomer approves, and now we're looking at like some 22-year-old or 21 or whatever he is, 23. He's got no experience. He doesn't have any power either. And you may like that because you're the power person, but he can't help you. The government ripped me off. I use my intrinsic power to keep the government up and keep that agency up. It's obvious, right? No, the agent went into bondage. And, that's not being up. It's being a lackey. And Marshal Service wasn't in bondage for a lot of years. Right. Lackeys. Right. But he can't keep the homeland safe. Again, you got people like me and you depend on that, but, God says at a certain point that may become part of the judgment against you in the afterlife. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, this is what I believed would happen. Hopefully it keeps happening. Seems like it's relaxing while I'm walking. Right. So the stretching of the hips a little bit with a longer stride. Let me try to increase that stride. That's just, it's not a good look. And again, that could be what's happening. If Laura Loomer met him, because that's the way little girl was, okay? If she liked, like she liked, what's his name? He had a pretty bad career, though, in the end. I think somebody went after him, right? But I don't know, what was my code word for that guy? Code name. Like a football player or something. But she liked him, and he didn't do anything for her. He wasn't even, really nice to her. But she just had this weird thing in her head that this guy was a good guy. And she never went after him. Thanks. So, you psychotic people. And again, I don't know if Laura Loomer has the psychology to be put there. They'll make her look like she does. Now, when you do what Laura Loomer says, something goes right for you, right? That's spies. Spies are doing that. They're manipulating you. That's why you listen to her. Right. Could be Democrats, too. It don't matter. It's a money thing. Once the money tilts, then it goes a different direction. Right. So whoever pays the spies the most amount of money, or they have to continue the criminal enterprise, so they have to manipulate to a certain degree. And spies are spies. It isn't like our spies, their spies. They're all corrupt pieces of shit generally. One way. That's the only way you get in, being a one-wayer, right? Because they know they can manipulate one-wayers. In fact, they get rid of people that aren't one-way. And that's one reason they got rid of me, because I'm not one-way. But again, they're steering your mind like, oh, our government didn't look lethal. Our military didn't look lethal enough. We didn't look like the Russians. We didn't look like this. Yeah, but they can't fight like us. So what you're seeing in these militaries is BS. We waved. If you go, hi, how you doing? You're going to help us? Oh, great. I'll help you too. Yeah, that's how it's done. Throughout history, we are the victor. When we're victory, we liberate and we wave. Hey! All right. Now you can hire a bunch of narcissists, but they're ignorant, and it eventually destroys itself. Oh yeah, they could be on the planet the way it is, they stay rich, but right, capability diminishes. I mean, capability's going all over the planet. Iran, U.S., you're all incompetent to a certain degree because you can't keep the peace in the right way. You have to plan for the future because you're one way. You can't do that all. You got to be understanding how to uplift everything and make it work. And of course, for years you banked on what I was doing for everyone. But again, you just wanted to kill me. I mean, that's disgusting. It's piggish. It's not politics. What I do is not politics. What you all do is demonic and criminal, so don't call it politics. She's trying. They're all focusing on me because I'm going to go to church today. So no, it's not pressure. It's you as a devil and your people as a devil. There's hundreds of you, if not thousands, and you're specifically trying to block me from church. And now that I'm on the treadmill, you're trying to get me off the treadmill. That's why you can't do anything right. Because y'all run around killing people. Y'all run around killing people like a bunch of devils, demons, antichrist, witches, sorcerers, and you go to church and go, look, I'm in church! Praise Jesus! What are they doing in church? Well, it's dangerous with them in church. They can't be in church. That's the epitome of your churches. That's what it is. The rest is facial bullshit. Presenting an illusion. And God will get you. Believe me. Oh, he's coming against Trump. He's coming against Trump. Was I coming against Trump when I told you don't go with the gangs and get the hell away from the street gangs? Did I tell you, did I come against you when I told you don't invoke God's name and do demonic things to people and demonic things in government? And say you're going to a prayer meeting when it's a street fight and a gang warfare? Did I steer you in the wrong? Oh, no, they'll tell you did. Or that I did. It's exactly who took out my life. Street gangs. Working for the Republicans. Why? Because that's what the pieces of shit are. That's what Laura Loomer is. That's who little girl is. Steering you into a world where you need them because some foreign spy pays them and props them up. Putin knows who little girl is. Putin knows who Rick Henry is. The Russians know who they are. They were their people in Baltimore to kill out the people that could do the work and could succeed the government. They're one way. They don't care who they work for. As long as the life is up, up, up. But it's actually down, down, down in the afterlife. Afterlife then. She's ignorant. Somebody's propping everything up around her decisions. So you're like, it's just like the same thing happened to the Russians. They've had incompetent fools in charge. Right. Same machine. Yeah, Putin knew it. But Putin was getting even in the end. Like, these incompetent fools are going to go. Right. They were lying to him all those years. They were not prepared to invade Ukraine like he thought he was. Because they lied to him. Put a bunch of little girls, big sister, slickster. Put a bunch of those people in power. Can't do a frickin' thing, but kill everybody. But it's not going to work. That's why the Soviet Union could never win. And the reason they didn't lose so fast was because we had people like that, right? Like Slickster and all that. They never could do anything. Right? And you're slowly doing that to our government. Just a bunch of political officers. Now, you may not know you're doing that to the government, but somebody does. But he doesn't have intrinsic power. It's not all your power. You had a lot of people backing you that had power, right? They have personal power. The DOJ doesn't have any power. It's the people in the DOJ that can power it, or people like me that kind of help them with certain operations inside. Definitely feeling a little better. Oh boy, I was going through hell. I knew, like, right away this morning, I got the cue. Get up, get on the treadmill, start walking. I didn't. I did some other stuff, and then my back got screwed up, and my leg got screwed up. It's a band of muscle in my left back. And as soon as that tightens up, it screws everything up. And it could be triggering from the lower lumbar. So again, everything was correct 4 or 5 years ago, but boy, I wonder how much they spent to do that to me. It had to be millions, right? So there's a spiritual, again, you can't go to a church and say, pray for us and have it work. This is the confusion why people in, like, that aren't in religion, they're like, oh, it's so stupid. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't do anything because the people that are in power telling you about praying are devils. They're one way. You can't heal something if you're one way. You have to allow the other side to succeed also. If the only way out of war is for the other side to have a successful life, then that's what it should be. But for all of you, you're haters, so you want people not to have successful life. I mean, that's liberals too. Liberals are haters too, so let's not play that game, right? So there's groups of people everywhere that are not haters, but they're few and far between, and are generally not in power. And that's what's wrong. So they're so one way and narcissistic that they would destroy everything just to destroy what they want to destroy. And again, that's how spies manipulate them. That's how they manipulate Big Sister, Little Girl, Slickster. They had the personality to destroy the government, so they put them up. Again, some just have like no-show jobs. You know, they show up, but they don't really do anything, and then they go off for about 8 hours or 4 hours, whatever it is, and then they return at the end of the day. Right. Now, some of the work may be deep state, where they actually, you know, go out and do deep state work and network for the deep state work. Right. Meet with somebody in the corporate world or in the government world. That's part of the thing. Right. But they're definitely not capable people. Right, so that's how they build a deep state government. No, you're not going to, what they're trying to do is make you believe that you need to do that to make yourself safe. But again, you're not hiding what you're doing. You're the most vocal government as far as doing something that's probably corrupt. Again, You have to get to the truth. Bush did corrupt things. Clinton did corrupt things. Obama did corrupt things. Trump administration does corrupt things. So on and so forth. Biden, all of them. But they don't talk about it. You're talking about it, so it's already in the record. And again, the idea where Laura Loomer says something and then you fire somebody, there's questions on that also. Laura Loomer has never held a background investigation. She's never had a clearance. She's never had a government job. Now, you can put her in if you want, but right. She has no clue. Elon Musk has no clue. His people that work for him have no clue how it works. We have no idea what the cuts are going to cost us. There may be no way to cut the government because of everything else, because of the hate. So you remove the hate, then everything starts going up naturally. So how do you do that? You quiet government. Biden knew the answer, but he couldn't beat the inflation enough. Just try to be quiet. And then the war. I mean, he's stupid for the war. Right. Well, you combine that with inflation. So Trump and his people capitalized on the fact that people didn't have, and all this money was being sent overseas. I mean, everybody saw that for probably years by then. There was kind of an imbalance in that. That's a take no. But the longer I'm on here, the madder they get. Weirdos. Also listening in on the phones. They're definitely listening in on the phones. They definitely can hack phones. So, I mean, I believe that's where it's coming from. Anything, of course, anything you buy from Amazon, electronic could have a listening device in it. Once the world goes a certain level of corruption, then they don't care. Because, it's like spies. Spies don't care. Once spies own some community, they don't care anymore. Right? They'll do whatever they want. Well, I'm sure Iran doesn't have that capable of a military. It's mostly, just propaganda and stuff. But again, if they get through to a certain degree as far as terrorism and that stuff, it can make a mess. No, I definitely had my cue this morning to say, get on the treadmill, and maybe myself too. Just get on the treadmill and walk, and I couldn't. But I triggered it. But at least I know what's triggering it. Right. So I know I've been talking to myself for a long time, for the last couple of weeks, and something else might be in there with me, and it's first thing in the morning, get up and walk. I just couldn't get to it. And that right side tightened up a little bit. The lower lumbar can cause your upper back and the rest of your back to tighten up, trying to adjust the lower lumbar. Again, I think 4 or 5 years ago I had the answer. I just couldn't get to anything as they continually psychologically operated my life the entire time. Bunch of devils. Every last one of them. So again, be careful what you're doing because your government is starting to erode and you won't have any intrinsic power to repel attacks. Correct. When you think you're setting your government up to repel attacks. Right? Yeah. Well, you're putting in a bunch of one-way people. That's what, Elon Musk's one way. I mean, come on. That's his claim to fame, and that's why they support him. Right. I mean, the things that Elon Musk did are prosecutable until the statute of limitations run out. I mean, there's no doubt. You can't just go in there and because you were under investigation, decimate the agency. You can't do it. That's why I told you, get them into the background, get them to walk off into the sunset a bit. Right. Well, they already have it in files. They have the whole thing investigated already. I mean, they probably can investigate it more once they get some power position. That's not because I said it. Because I said it, you may be able to defend against it. Right? You have listen to a bunch of Democrats in your head. Laura Loomer might be. You don't know who's in her head. Right? You know, she goes to a Trump rally and meets a couple people, and she thinks they should have the highest positions in the government because the thing tells her that. Right? Again, you know, one of the things is at 20, what is he, 22, whatever, I mean, how much, right? The thing never came against him probably in his life, so he doesn't have anything to disqualify him, right? And again, I'm sure there's people with experience around him, and then, of course, I and other people help, so what do you actually have to know? Right. Well, you have to understand something. No matter what the Trump administration does around immigrants and immigration and deportation, it doesn't negate the fact that we have too many people here. A ton of them are criminal, and a ton of them accept criminality, because that's the next level. So when they deport somebody that looks like a good person, the question is, are they really, or are they accepting, are they part of the racketeering thing? Right. So when government looks at these groups of immigrants, you know, you have your core group of criminals, and then you have people that touch on the criminals. Now, Democratic politicians will get nervous, and Republican politicians too would if it was working in their direction, right? Because they're associates, right, of some of these people. So what they may be getting rid of is a lot of the go-betweens of that racketeering organization. Yeah, the senator or the congressman doesn't talk directly or speak directly to the criminal enterprise, but maybe once in his life. But then there's a bunch of go-betweens, and they look good on paper, right? And they, you know, launder the money or whatever it is. Thank you. So again, we don't know who they're getting rid of and why, because there could be intelligence reasons saying, okay, when we look at this criminal enterprise, you know, you see these people over here, they're not connected. They're just, you know, they're doing their own thing in life. But then we see this group over here, and they're doing really well, but look at them. Right. They're part of the, you know, the street presence. And that includes sex trafficking. You know, their system is, you know, if sex trafficking exists, then, you know, it's okay because that's their station in life. Right. Again, I rescued my wife from something like that. Or my ex-wife. Thank you, Larry. So I know all about it. Knew about it before I even got in the Marshal Service. I mean, it's just the strangest. I think I spoke on it before. Because you think they're like seedy, dirty old men or something. But, you know, it's a mother and a husband has a job somewhere else. And they're human trafficking and sex trafficking. And they got kids. And kids are around it. But it's like a case system. You know, this is the life they get. This is the life we get. Right. Thanks, Larry. So you'll find that in foreign cultures more so than the United States. You'll find it here, and it is increasing, even in the Republican ranks. Right. The idea that you get what you put in is BS. Right. Completely BS. But the people that control the narrative are the people that, you know, that don't put in and just take. So they say it the other way around, right? Like we're the ones that put in so we get. I'm sorry. Well, they just may not have any power. So what happens is all this like crazy stuff that you're experiencing every so often, like no success. I mean, all right. All right, I think I could probably stop walking now. Whew. Let's turn this down. Yeah, I definitely need to get on the treadmill when I wake up and start walking. Thank you, Larry. So again, the good thing did come of it, but no, they don't get credit for it. I'm trying to find these clay oil lamps, and apparently I didn't pay for that order. He's asking for payments. That's kind of a cheap trick. Like I didn't push that final button. And he's like, well, your order didn't go through. Give me money. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want those things. I was just trying to see what the final price was. Because it takes like a week and a half to 2 weeks or 3 weeks for it to get to me. And I don't know if I want to do that again because it didn't. Because you wait that long. And then when the guy, somebody corrupt steals your order, from the post office or wherever they work, then you got to order again at a month, a month out or so. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.